They are being starved. They are thirsty, only given 1 cup of water per day, are denied bathroom privileges, are denied medical attention. People in ICE concentration camps are losing their lives. And don't even think about saying FAFO, fuck around and find out, to these people in ICE detention centers. It is a shame that members of the Black community started the trend, and so many other people followed. This is an updated voting poll. Brown people voted for Kamala Harris more, but you fall for the colonizers' divisive tactics, the inaccurate voting polls, the initial propaganda. It is immature and immoral to be centering that type of behavior in response to a community that is being mass deported, imprisoned in concentration camps, and tossed out of the country to who knows where without any rights or contact to any lawyer or family. When we should be focused on solidarity, and this has to stop immediately. Especially those of you who claim to be activists perpetuating this FAFOBS nonsense.
You know, I've seen Latinos holding Trump flags. I've seen Black people talking bad about Latinos, calling them wetbacks, and go back home Trump. I can't understand how Black people, not every Black person, could say something like that. When it was George Floyd, there was hella Latinos helping out. When it was Rodney King, there was hella Latinos there. But you know what? There is some Latinos that are racist against Black people too. I'm always going to keep it real. But haven't you noticed that right now, those fucking Latinos that are like Trump, those motherfuckers are illegal too. Then Trump's talking about, yeah, they got to come in the right way. His wife ain't even from here. You know, it just, I can't believe in 2025, we're still going through this. In 1933, they were deporting citizens from the United States back to Mexico. You know, and like I keep saying, Black folks keep calling them wetbacks. And let me tell you something what Hispanics do. They'll build houses. And somebody say, oh, they don't build houses as good as anymore. Shit. Well, the white folks always give them cheap material so that they do what they can work with. You know? So I don't see Black people really working in construction. I don't see them picking on the fields. I don't see them selling flowers. I don't see them with the little ice cream truck. They don't do none of that. What, you gonna, Black people for real, y'all gonna go do that work? I ain't gonna go do that work. So stop talking shit about Hispanics. And Hispanics too, stop talking shit about Black people. That's why they always divide and conquer. Because we're stupid and we listen. Yeah, Mr. Trump. They're all punks, Latinos and Black people. The ones that act stupid against each other, not all Blacks and not all Latinos. But you know what? I'm tired of hearing this bullshit between all of us, Blacks and Latinos. That's how stupid y'all are.
Where are the Black people when we need them with your help?
What's going on, YouTube? What's going on the Shoulders of Giants family? It's Saturday. I'm back. Welcome back to the channel. Last week, I took a trip to Glendon, South Carolina for the country style cook-off. Me and my lady, we took a trip to the country style cook-off. We had a great time. You know, I left you with content last week, but I had to make sure I get back, give you something live, because on these live Saturdays, it's Negro News. We got to get into it. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Thank you to everybody who's helping this channel grow, because we are doing our thing and we are going to reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers. We're going to reach our goal. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. And you know, we're getting it in today. Last Saturday I was traveling. This Saturday we're getting it in. So two main things that we're going to get into today. Two main things. The first is dealing with the situation now between the Hispanic Latino community and the Black community. And is Black America obligated to help the illegal immigrants? Because there are a lot of them who are crying out and demanding that Black Americans come to their aid, because they've always been by our side. That's what some of them are exclaiming. We're going to get into that. And we're also going to get into a conversation I found as I was scrolling through YouTube. General Langley, the sellout Negro who was trying to snitch on Ibrahim Traore and trying to say that Traore was using the funds that he was collecting for his own personal gain rather than using the funds he was collecting to enrich the people of Burkina Faso. So we're going to get into a conversation about that. A Black journalist is questioning him about his comments about Traore. Then we're going to let Dr. Amos Wilson help us analyze the mindset of somebody like General Langley. But, you know, we got to start off with our conversation dealing with Black people in the Hispanic Latino community, because as you can see in the opening clips, you have people crying out saying, hey, black people, come help us. Black people, we need you. Black people, where are you? Black people, 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 right? They're calling out for black people because they're saying black people need to be out there protesting with them. Black people need to be on the front lines with them the same way they were on the front lines with us. And a lot of black people are like, hold up, stop, hold up, because that's not true. The actions of a few do not reflect the sentiments of a whole group. Because if we're being honest, we know that there's never been a great or smooth relationship between black people and the Hispanic Latino communities, right? Even within the Hispanic Latino communities, there has been tension between those who classify themselves as white and those who classify themselves as black. Racism exists within these Hispanic Latino communities, right? Remember, the origin of the transatlantic slave trade came from the Portuguese and the Spanish, right? The Portuguese and the Spanish, their culture, their colonization led to these Hispanic Latino communities. There's a statement that they use in that community that's basically saying, keep the race white or whiten the race or improve the race. And we're going to get into it because what you see on the screen now is a conversation that we're going to get into. We're going to react to this conversation, to give commentary, add to this conversation of three Latino people having this conversation about the racism and the relationship, the ill relationship between blacks and Hispanics. And I think it's time for a real conversation because I think a lot of us got a lot of things messed up when it comes to this conversation. Of course, you know, I said a lot. Dr. John Henry Clark told us that we have no friends, we have no allies. The only real friends and allies that we have are our own people or ourselves, right? Hispanic and Latino, first of all, is an ethnic description. The ethnic description that was given by colonizers, that was given by dominant societies, right? When it comes to racial classification, within the Hispanic and Latino community, we have to remember, Hispanic and Latino is not a race, it's an ethnicity. Their racial classification or the racial category that they place themselves in, if they're not my color and can't get away with it, they're going to classify themselves as white. And that's one of the things they're going to talk about in this conversation is how the racial classification is made up within Hispanic Latino communities, right? I'm not a part of the Hispanic Latino community, so I'm only going off what people within the community are telling me. And I've heard, especially Afro-Latino people, exclaiming for the last 15, 20 years of my life about the constant racism within the Hispanic Latino communities. I know the consistent conversations that we have about the Dominicans, the dark-skinned black Dominicans who are some are darker than me, who will tell you that they're not black. You know, speaking Spanish is a colonizer's language, just like me speaking English. I'm speaking a colonizer's language. I'm not speaking the language of my ancestors. My ancestors didn't come to America speaking English, just like the ancestors of the Hispanics wasn't here speaking Spanish, right? They were colonized. And they were colonized by the Spanish, and then the Spanish were romanticized, just like the Europeans were romanticized by black people in America, in the United States. The colonizers were romanticized, so they get to the statement that they have with improving the race or whitening the race because they're holding on to their Spanish roots. So going back to the question, is Black America obligated to help illegal immigrants? I say no. I say we're not obligated to help anyone. But why aren't we obligated? And that's what this conversation is going to help lead us to. So let's get into it. And y'all make sure, hold up before we get into the conversation. PC gonna kill me, so let me make sure I do it. You know what that finger mean? Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure you support this channel. You can hit the super like button, that super chat. There's all different ways to support this channel. You can become a member of this channel as well. All of that information is below. So make sure you check it all out. Hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, jump in these comments. I want your thoughts. I want you to contribute to the conversation as well. What do you think? Is Black America obligated to help illegal immigrants? So we already have a couple comments. So let's talk about these comments real quick. Marie Boca says they wanted it because they're talking about the number of Hispanics who voted for Trump. We're going to get into that. No, we are not. And Complex Blackness is saying, no, we are not obligated to help illegal immigrants. Kenneth One America says, no, Black Americans and neither Black peoples worldwide are not obligated to help nobody else worldwide at all whatsoever. I agree with you, my brother. I agree with you. Sweet J says, I agree. No, we are not obligated. Kai says, my great grandfather was a conquistador. Hey, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. I don't know. I don't know. Fox says, no, we are not obligated. I agree. We are not obligated to help anyone but ourselves. But why aren't we obligated? So let's get into it.
Black community is mad because we're asking for their help. Instead of responding in a good way, they're really bashing us, bashing Mexicans and saying,
I do have something to say first. This is my humble opinion. I think where we go wrong is that we ask for their help, personally. And let me elaborate. I don't think that we as brown people should be asking another race of people to help us. I think if another race of people want to help voluntarily, then that's that.
I agree. Not only asking, but I guess I'll take it a step further, what I'm trying to say. I don't feel like they're asking for help. I feel like they're demanding our help. They're demanding that we pick up their fight. They're demanding that their issue become our issue. It's more of a demand than anything. And I think that is one of the greatest problems or issues that we're having. It's a demand based off of trying to use guilt to say, hey, you owe us this, and you owe us this because of how we've helped you in the past. And that is one of the reasons why we're getting off on the wrong foot. Also, Black people in America are saying, hold up. So not only are you going to demand that we help you, you're going to demand that we help you, and you just going to ignore the friction that we have between each other, because the Black and Brown alliance is not real. There's no real alliance between Black and Brown people. There's no real BIPOC community in large. There may be a number of people who are brought into the ideologies, but in large, there is no Black and Brown solidarity. There's no BIPOC community. And how do we know this? Because when Black people are in trouble in mass, other groups do not show up. We're not talking about segments or handfuls of other groups. We're talking about in mass, because when Black people show up to help, we show up in mass. Got to remember that. And this conversation is coming from the Ricardo Ignacio podcast. And I'll put a link. I'm gonna put a link to it below in the description. But the Ricardo Ignacio podcast. Let's go.
I'm gonna give you a great example. I've had a Black woman, Latina but Black, right, who is more involved in the Latino community than the Black community, as a Black woman, but from Latin America. So much so that before Donald Trump was elected, she reached out to me and said, Ricardo, you have a lot of Black people that listen to you. Can you please talk to them to help us Latinos? She's Black. She's telling a Mexican guy, can you please talk to your overwhelming black audience to help us Latinos. I'm like, you're black. But you see, this is how these kind of terminologies have kind of ruined us a little bit. That in the case of like Black Latinos, if you will, they're so busy, and I mean this with all due respect to the Black Latinos, they're so busy trying to be Latinos that they forget about black people.
They're so busy trying to fit into the dominant society that they're forgetting that they're also black. So this is a Mexican man talking about having a conversation with an Afro-Latino woman before the re-election of Trump, asking the Afro-Latino woman is asking the Mexican man how to get black people more involved, because she's not even conscious of her blackness. She's only conscious of seeking validation and inclusion from the dominant society, and their dominant society would be the Spaniards. Ours is the you know, the British and the Europeans who come from the British over there, and theirs would be the Spanish. Fitting into the dominant society, making sure that they are helping to lighten the race up. Shalom to you, my brother Damon Reeves. You know I always appreciate your support. I always appreciate you tuning in, and you always contribute greatly to the conversation. Thank you, Mr. Damon Reeves. You are a real one. I appreciate you. There she go. There she go. What up, Tiffany? That's my lady. Tell them about our country style trip. We need obligated. Yeah, I know what you mean. We need to be obligated to help ourselves. I know what you mean. Our obligation is to ourselves, not to anybody else, right? But think about the psychology behind what was just said. An Afro-Latino woman is asking a Mexican man, how can he help her reach the black community better? Because she has no connection to her own community, because she wants to be more connected with the dominant society of her culture. The colonizers. That's not unity. That's not unity. You're not a unifying group of people when you want to suppress and erase the darker people of the darker versions of your people, the darker skinned people of your culture. When you want them erased, you can't talk about solidarity. You can't on one end want these people to not exist, and on the other hand tell these people, hey, you are obligated to help us in our fight against the person that the majority of our own people voted for. And that's the thing to me about the Latino Hispanic community. Like, were y'all not listening when Trump was talking? Like, we talked about it extensively on this channel. Were y'all not listening when Donald, I'm going to deport all of the illegal immigrants. They're gone. They can't be here anymore. I don't want them there. They have to go. So y'all didn't hear that. Y'all, that's the part y'all didn't hear. Y'all didn't understand that he was saying that if he becomes president, that he was going to deport the illegal immigrants. Y'all didn't understand that. Okay, whatever. We don't believe you. You need more people. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Shout out to everybody in here. Make sure you hit that like button.
And they're black. From my observation, to the point where a black woman is asking me, and she's got a large following, but she has been using her following to be involved in the Latino community.
What am I saying? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You use an Afro-Latino woman who's concerned about what's going on in the black community, but has always used her platform as a black person for validation from the Latino community, and not even thinking about the black community until you start to feel pity for the black community, until things start happening to you personally. And see, that's the thing about us black people, right? No matter your background, and I understand the diaspora wars that are going on right now. I understand the diaspora wars, but that's part of the damn problem. We can't get past the differences. We understand that we have differences, but damn it, when we're gonna be able to get past them? I am not a fan of the diaspora wars. If you don't know, I'm not a fan of the diaspora wars. I'm not a fan of black people not getting along, whether it's domestically or even globally. I'm not a fan of that. But it's a great explanation of the mindset of so many black people who are not necessarily Black American, foundational Black Americans, because their mindsets have been warped as well. We've all been colonized, and we act like others haven't. We've all been colonized. That's why we are what we are. But that doesn't mean that we have that commonality with the Hispanic community, because remember, they are colonizers as well. And they identify with their whiteness. Why do you think we use the term Afro-Latino? No, think about it. I'm just saying, think about it. Why are we using the term Afro-Latino? Because if you're not Afro-Latino, then you're white Latino. Unless you're Asian Latino, because we're talking about racial categories now. Let's not act like we don't understand. And if you don't understand the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality, you got to start from the beginning. You got to start from the beginning. What you saying, El? He says, he literally told them to their faces, I don't care about you. I just want your votes. What are we to do with that? We voted for Trump for the same reasons as whites, in my opinion. I get that, but the whole of what he said, because it's just, I guess you all are going to learn the hard way, like we had to learn the hard way, about voting for people and getting nothing for your votes, and voting for people who don't have your overall best interest. Because as black people in America, we had to learn the hard way, because we continue, and we still continue to vote for people who do nothing for us, for people who don't help improve our situations. But he was explicit in what he was saying. He was very explicit. I'm going to deport the illegals. And we all know who the illegals were. So I get it. You voted for Trump because you had some gains, but let's not act like losses didn't come with it. Learn from the black community. Learn from the black community. I'm just saying. I'm with you, brother. We're not obligated to help. We are not obligated to help anybody. We're not obligated. We can help you if we want to, but we're not obligated. Well, let's get back to this conversation. This is a good conversation.
And she has to ask me, and this is what I told her though. This is what I said. I said, I will not do that. I will not ask black people to help us at all, actually. And what was disrespectful the most was when I saw that over 60% of Latinos voted for Trump.
Yeah, so I didn't even know that until last week. I said, what?
Check this out. So you mean to tell me our own community voted mostly for Trump, and we want another race of people to help us? That's why black people are offended. Yeah. It's like I've heard it all the time. Black people themselves tell me, we voted for Kamala. You want our help? You need to convince your people to help you first. So now imagine black people from the outside looking in, 60-something% of Latinos voted for Trump, and here comes the Latinos asking for their help. That's disrespectful, man. Of course. Go ahead, Gina.
And that's what I wanted to touch on, because as I stated before, like in the Afro-Latino conversation that we had, I find my community not with Latinos. Uh-huh. I am part of the 92% that voted for Kamala. Okay. The reason why we say enough, help yourself, is because the elections really did show us that we were alone.
Yep.
It's the sentiment that we really fight for everybody and nobody fights for us. And
Yeah.
that's why when they look around, they say, oh, well, we're all the black people. Do you see them protests, the little parades that people were having, protesting? Why do you think they were so peaceful? Why do you think they weren't, the police weren't out there in anti-riot gear and militarized police wasn't out there? We're not using our bodies as human shields for people anymore.
And see, that is the sentiment. What she just said is the sentiment of a lot of black people. Now, that's not necessarily my personal sentiment, but that is the sentiment of a lot of black people. We're not using our bodies for your fight anymore. El Remelion, thank you very much. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you. Saying be effing honest. Red Sanford is saying we tired. Yeah, basically. And so basically it's explaining a strained relationship between the two groups of people. And why has this relationship continued to be as strained as it is this long? Because there has been no real reconciliation or no real repairing of the rift in the relationship. I mean, on one end, Hispanic and Latino people, especially the ones who subscribe or who identify as white and may subscribe to white supremacy, you're part of the problem if you are subscribing to white supremacy, if you're subscribing to the lightening of the race, if you're subscribing to seeing black people, no matter what language they speak, if you see black people as less than, you are a part of the problem. You cannot be a part of the problem and then turn around and say, hey, 10 of my people help your people, so you have to help all of us. Because going back to the Muhammad Ali analogy, if 1,000 rattlesnakes is coming at my house, if 1,000 snakes period is coming at my house, 100 of those 1,000 snakes were non-poisonous, and those snakes were non-venomous, and those snakes actually helped out in the community. But those snakes are in the same group as this 1,000 coming at my house. Do I allow all of those snakes in my house to figure out who's who, or do I keep them all out? Right? And so now Hispanic people have to take a look in the mirror at how they have treated and related to black people all this time. Hey, and Tiffany, drop your YouTube channel handle in the comments so everybody can follow you and support you. Tiffany has a YouTube channel, Sacred Seat TV. Drop your YouTube in the comments. You should be do every show. Drop your YouTube in the comments so you can make sure people support you. Do that. Let's get back to this conversation.
When the George Floyd protests happened, I was in Seattle. And I was out there. Everything was peaceful until the agents of chaos came in, and they started tear gassing us. Like I'm telling you, como perro no trataban.
Yeah.
When all we want is the right to live, the right to exist. Don't kill us. We saw things for what they really were in the elections.
Yeah.
We're
and
done.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. Yes, I agree. We did, but I saw it before the elections, to be honest with you. I saw it before it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because I'm glad my brother Ricardo Ignacio, I'm glad he said that. I'm so glad he said that, because I've heard so many, especially black people and other people say, well, now we know how the Hispanic and Latino community get down because of the results of the election. You are late. You are late to the party. If the election is what opened your eyes to the relationship between the black and brown communities, if the election is what opened your eyes, you unfortunately are thoroughly late to the party. Where have they been? En masse. Where have they been? I'm a person, I've had the privilege of being able to befriend people from all over the world. So I'm cool with some everybody. But what I've not seen is the masses of any of these groups of people that I'm cool with these individuals come to our aid. So I'm not crazy either. I have hella people that I got love for from all different walks of life. But that don't mean the masses of their people have been there to help us. So this individual may have my back, and this individual and these other individuals may have my back, but the group as a whole don't have my back. So let's not do that. Let's not act like that, right? We getting on, we working to get our stuff together. We got to work. We got to work. Though, and this is the Black people, not the N-words. The Black people are working. We still, we gotta help. We working to help ourselves.
I didn't need the elections. I didn't need to see 60% Latino for. I didn't. I've been seeing this my whole life, and I've always told people, the Black and brown people that come into my chat way before the elections, y'all pay attention to who comes over here and attack me when I address white tea people. It's Latinos. Latinos get mad when I address white tea people. All the people that got my back in the comment section are Black people. When I'm addressing white tea supremacy, all the Latinos come in here.
Because they align with the colonizers. They align with the colonizers. They identify as white and align with the colonizers.
You're a hater. I don't need the election thing to show me anything. I've seen it not only here in the chat. I've seen it my whole life growing up. Latinos, bro, are some self-hating motherfuckers. Straight up.
And it was such a perfect storm for Latinos to see themselves as they really are. Yeah. Because not only would they not vote for Kamala because she is Black, they wouldn't vote for her because she's woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Machismo.
Esas dos cosas.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. Because we uphold white tea supremacy.
Mm-hmm. We do.
I'm so glad that I found this clip, Latinos telling the truth about the racism within their own community. Latinos and Hispanics talking about the rampant coarse racism that is pervasive within their communities. And then have the nerve to say Black people come help us. From what? You sealed your own fate. Talk to your people who voted for DT. We on over here on the Shoulders of Giants we told people don't trust either party. Damn both parties, because neither party, especially for us, neither party ain't ever did nothing for us. So damn both parties. That's what we told them. But of course, we're not telling y'all what to do in y'all community, but you sealed your fate. Talk to your own people. And then I saw a video earlier that it was a African diaspora news video. It was a clip of a young lady, Hispanic lady on TikTok calling out the Hispanic celebrities who were saying nothing. And I was like, that is a good point. The Hispanic celebrities who, like John Leguizamo, the one who always talking, ain't saying nothing. We ain't heard from John Leguizamo. They're not even standing up for themselves. Damon, we have to help her, Damon. We're gonna pray for the young lady. We have to help her, right? Because she's an Indian. I meant to say that. She's an Indian. She's not one of us. But you know how they be all up in their emotions and stuff, right? I forgot what I was talking about, so let's get back into the video.
I don't find my community with other Latinos.
Yeah, I understand that. Yours probably safer that way.
Yeah, because you're too dark. You're too dark. Don't ask the too dark people that you don't accept to help you. Don't do that. Don't spit on me and tell me it's raining. Don't act like we're stupid. And that's the part that really be pissing me off, is to come at us as if we're ignorant and have no idea what's going on. Don't do that.
And I am.
You're safer that way because although you're Latina, you're black. In the Latino world, the Latinos that matter are the white T ones.
That's it.
As indigenous people, as black people in the Latino world, we're better off not even fucking with that whole Latino thing. Honestly.
And this is from a 2019, right? It's called the Pew. I don't know if you heard of it. PEW Research Center. 72% of Latinos in the U.S. 72. That's a lot. Think that having lighter skin provides advantages in America.
Let me let Buddy say that again.
We do.
We do. I don't find my community with other Latinos.
But I'm gonna let Buddy say what he said
I
again.
understand that. You're probably safer that way.
And I am.
You're safer that way because although you're Latino.
Yeah, John Leguizamo full of shit. He is full of shit. Full of shit. Don't on one end act like you down for everybody. On the other end, you talking shit about us behind. Nah.
Latina, you're black. In the Latino world, the Latinos that matter are the white T ones.
That's it.
As indigenous people, as black people in the Latino world, we're better off not even fucking with that whole Latino thing. Honestly.
And this is from a 2019, right? It's called the Pew. I don't know if you heard of it. PEW Research Center. 72% of Latinos in the U.S. 72. That's a lot. Think that having lighter skin provides advantages in America.
If you associate and inculcate yourself with the dominant society, of course. I remember watching a video of a young African lady. I think we did a breakdown on it when we're talking about the diaspora wars. But the young African lady was talking about how she was instructed and her mindset was come to America and associate with white people because there's more resources over there. It's better over there. They have more to offer over there. Yes, we know that. So don't come back asking us for damn solidarity. Go to the white people. Go to the white people. It's really that simple. We miss about like 10 from the chat. Yeah, hey, please hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. I appreciate it. That's why I rock with you. Give you a little star. I don't know what that meant, but I hit the little star thing. I don't know what that meant, but I hit it. But yeah. But if you're gonna associate yourself and even identify with the dominant society, when they bite your ass back, don't call us for help. And this is like my man Chimo said, this is like a death wish signed with a felt tip, finest Sanaa Lathan. You signed your death wish with the finest felt tip you can find. Don't come screaming for help now.
72.
We do.
Of course.
We do.
With all due respect to your research, I didn't need a piece of paper or a study to show me this. This is not only in the United States. This is in Latin America.
White ice is colder to everybody. White ice is colder, no matter what language you speak. Blanco ice is colder than everybody else's ice.
Everywhere in Latin America.
We live by the phrase mejorar la raza. This chant.
That's the I can't say the phrase. I'm not even gonna act like I can say the phrase, but that's the phrase that speaks toward whitening the race and purifying the race and bettering the race and getting the darkness out of the race.
Mejorar la raza is across the board in Latin American countries. Puerto Rico, Mexico. Mejorar la raza is a fucking thing.
Everywhere.
So, yeah, man, it's good to do this research and get the fact.
The idea that the darker you are, the more you bring the race down. Yeah. White ice. Right, Ricardo. White ice. That's what they're looking for. Not regular ice, white ice. It is the audacity, but they have audacity because the dominant society. We know. The Nabisco's got crackers. Saltines, straight saltines, Damon, straight saltines, right? Saltines and white ice. Yes. But the idea of whitening the race, making the race better. The lighter the race is, the better the race is. But there's the black and brown solidarity. How? How the hell does that equate to a black and brown solidarity where we all suffer from colonization? Well, no. Afro-Latinos, indigenous people from those areas suffered from colonization. You and your folk benefited from colonization. Oh, but because these white folk over here don't mess with your white folk the same, now you want our help. No. It don't work like that. Because remember, we bring the race down. People who look like us bring the race down. Don't forget about that. So you don't need people who bring the race down helping you further bring things down in your protest. Donald Trump is, y'all voted for Donald Trump, so here it is. Donald Trump.
Facts. To prove it on paper.
Right.
But the evidence is there.
Right. 10 years from now, you're going to see a lot more YT and Latinos, making babies, and all of a sudden, there goes our cultura. No more Chicanos anymore.
Whiten that race, purify the race. Eugenics, straight eugenics.
With all due respect, let me correct that. There goes our ethnicity. Because let's face it here. Our cultura is predominantly white tea, and it's been since colonial.
From my understanding, it's their idea of the darker skinned people are not beautiful people. The dark skinned people are not the good people. The dark skinned people are the degenerates of the society, the degenerates of the race. And to better the race is to have less and less and less of them. And to better the race is to look more and more and more like the colonizers. So less dark, savage, unruly, degenerate people, more of the lighter, fair, godly, right people, basically, from my understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Everything that we've been representing culturally, what? Speaking Spanish? Whose culture is that? Catholicism? Whose culture is that? Everything about us, as far as like our mainstream culture, we could call it whatever we want. We call it Chicano culture, Mexican culture. The mainstream of it is white tea. It's predominantly Eurocentric influenced. So we've already lost that. Now what we're losing is our ethnicity.
And they're doing a great job by replacing us.
Yep.
Because they're going to take our food that doesn't come from any gringo. They're taking our music that doesn't come from the gringo.
You heard her use that word replace. Replacement.
It's a different kind of genocide. It's a different kind. It's a softer version of it, and we don't see it. They don't see it. But this is actually what's happening.
It's a romantic form.
It's a romantic genocide.
Oh yeah.
But for me, what I call it, well, I like to call it, is a virus. It seeps into the cells and it multiplies.
Yeah.
It takes over everything, claims it as their own.
Steal everything and claim it as their own. Not only that, they want to be the main representation of everything they steal and shame us for trying to claim it as ours.
And what makes it worse, did you guys see how the Salvadorian president, when he went to what he said?
Oh my God.
Ricardo, I was like, okay, that's it. I go, no more Latinos anymore. The way he fucking saw Trump, And like he defended him, and no, I'm not bringing him back. The fuck?
Tooth and nail.
The fuck?
Tooth and nail.
That's what Trump wanted. He wanted everyone to see that. And now I'm like, we're 100 steps behind now. Again, I grew up in East LA, right? There was always a clash from the people that's from Mexico and the people like the Chicanos, right? They didn't care for us. There was at one point they hated us.
Yeah.
We just didn't get along.
Yeah. Chicanos and Mexicans.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Mexicans don't like me because I speak educated. They don't like me. They make fun of me. I speak Spanish fluently.
Yeah.
And people don't understand what we as first generation Chicanos have to, when you're first generation, anything is hard enough, right? Because you're the first generation in.
And we're talking about tribalism, feudalism. It happens between all groups of people. All groups of people fight amongst themselves. But they also have a hierarchy, and the darker you are, the worse you are treated. That's around the world.
In America, but for me, growing up in LA was the worst because we were right next to Mexico. Mm-hmm. And the shit that I had to go through, the Mexicans not liking me, I was made fun of all the time. Oh, you've been el pocho, I've been all the stupid shit that they used to call me.
This is why I like to have these conversations, because it shows the intersectionality and it shows that we're all facing the same common problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? One thing that Ricardo has said to me, white supremacy doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop pushing itself on us. So why would we stop?
Mm-hmm. White supremacy doesn't stop pushing itself on us. So why should we stop resisting white supremacy? I like that. One time for Ricardo Ignacio. One time for that.
When he told me that shit, it turned my brain inside out, upside down, because it's true.
Now, Ricardo. Now you know you asking real questions. Now, Ricardo, come on now, Ricardo. You asking? Why would you ask a real? I love it. Ricardo, I fucks with you. You asking real questions now. Right. Oh shoot.
Through the Mexicans not liking me.
I bet.
And our people don't listen. No matter how much we tell them, our people don't listen.
Yeah.
And I told you, do you want to know why? No matter how much we try to bring awareness, why it doesn't work? It's because we give up. White people never have. Ever since they set foot in here, they have never stopped doing what they do. We give up. They don't. They never sleep. Their white supremacist system and propaganda, it never stops. It goes and it goes. We're the ones who take breaks. It's their perseverance that has beat us. That's what it is.
And remember, white supremacy doesn't just speak English. I think we forget that a lot. White supremacy doesn't just speak in English. The original colonizers spoke Spanish and Portuguese. Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, French, English, all the other languages, the European languages. We in America, we Black Americans, we seem to forget that colonization and the colonizers don't just speak English, they speak Spanish too. All right. So that was the conversation. No, Black America is not obligated. They are not obligated. We are not obligated to help anybody who asks for our help. We help who we want to help. But damn it, we got to help ourselves first. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's a label for us. I'm just saying. See, Damon, you and Ricardo, damn it. That's why I love y'all. Real statements and real questions. Ask them over here. If you got real shit to say it over here. Speak. I'm here. Every language in the world, colonizers speak. So that was the conversation about the relationship between blacks and whites. Should we help them? Hell no, a resounding hell no. So now we're about to get into General Langley. General Langley is the American general over in West Africa who is basically doing the bidding Because black people, we got sellouts too. We already know that. So he's doing a bit in the white America to try to bring down and to spread propaganda and hurt the campaigns of Ibrahim Traore. And he's being interviewed about his negative comments that he made toward Traore. And so the young lady is questioning him. So we're going to analyze this interview. And then Dr. Amos Wilson is going to help us understand this man's mindset. So let's get into it. If you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button, drop a comment, subscribe, share. Here you can hit the super like button. You can hit a super chat, all those things to help support this channel. Let's go. Hit that like button.
General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso.
When US General Michael Langley sat down for an interview in Kenya, he probably wasn't expecting a masterclass in accountability. But Citizen TV's Ivona Okwara wasn't playing soft. When Langley accused Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traore of using gold to protect a junta, she pushed back hard. Demanding clarity, evidence, and context, she flipped the script.
Langley was accusing Traore of using the gold to support terrorist groups. And he's trying to say that Traore is not using the money properly to help enrich the nation. He's using it to fund terrorist groups and his own things. And he's blaming the presence of Traore for the increased terroristic violence in the South, in the West African areas.
What followed was a moment that exposed the growing frustration African journalists and citizens have with imperialist narratives. Watch this.
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traore and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime.
Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traore, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public
General Langley ain't shit.
Welfare. These remarks sparked widespread, condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to...
The epicenter of global terrorism is the motherfuckers you work for, Langley. The Americans, America, white folk, white supremacy. That's the epicenter of global terrorism. And West Africa is the result of the fallout, the result of the generation, the result of the hand of America and other Western countries messing up these African countries so they can continue to control the resources. Y'all just mad that Ibrahim Traore is slapping y'all hand and making you all, or basically kicking you all out, and y'all don't have access to the resources like y'all used to, and you mad, so you're trying to make it seem like he is the reason why the terrorism is happening over there. That's bull. You Langley, you come from the epicenter of terrorism. You do.
Illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country, period. They make their decisions though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that is going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Al-Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traore took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has, since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command.
But Traore has directly been attacking and subduing and fighting terrorist groups in his area. There's evidence of him fighting terrorism in the area. Come on, Langley.
No ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways.
I hope that's true. I hope that they replaced this. But if they replace it, they're just going to replace it with another sellout or a white person that's going to do the bidding. So.
Ways to be able to, they're still on war fighting footing. It's just going to take more resources.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country, because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue, they're seeking resources, they're seeking recruiting from the Burkinabe people, and they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
If you look up William O'Neill was the FBI informant who helped to bring down Fred Hampton. I call it the William O'Neill mindset, even though I know William O'Neill is not the first sellout, but the mindset behind William O'Neill, when you go watch the interview of him explaining why he did what he did, this is basically Langley not being as honest and open, but it's helping us to get an understanding of the mindset. Because yes, this guy has no nuts, like black skin, white mind. That's what he is. I hope if they're good, but they're still going to be carrying out the bidding of trying to tear down Traore. But Langley can go to hell.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Because especially ISIS, and of course in East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS West Africa, ISIS Sahel, and there's going to be probably a move afoot for them to move and seek refuge within the line. So we have shared objectives, and we offer to work together with the Burkinabe government and border countries. Mali, Niger, coastal West Africa countries collective, because here's what these organizations do. Here's what these terrorist organizations do. They seek refuge in the seams or the borders of these countries and lets them thrive and grow and lets them recruit, gain resources to carry on their illicit and nefarious activities against the populations.
Yeah, like the white folk, like the West ain't been carrying out nefarious activities against the African populations. Like Ricardo was saying, they want to take Traore out because Traore is in the way of the gold, the riches, the mineral, the resources that they've been getting. So that's why they want to make sure that they keep somebody in place and president in these countries who is carrying out the Western agendas, so they can continue graping the African people and the African landscape for their natural resources. They can't do that with Traore. Traore like, nah, this is ours. And he's even fighting the terrorists. Go to hell, Langley.
of those people.
And what would America, perhaps AFRICOM, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is AFRICOM prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and we'll just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armies. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland.
Thank you, El Gameleon. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for being a part of this conversation. I will see you next week, and please catch the rest of the content that comes out throughout the week. Thank you very much. Langley just admit, say, hey, all right, I'm here to work for white people. I'm here to do what white people tell me to do. Because the whole goal is to get Traore out the way so we can continue taking these resources. So that's why I'm here. That's what Langley need to go ahead and say. Like, stop beating around the bush and just be a man and say why you there. Be a man about it. Come on, Langley. That's been the number one problem. America's always in other countries shit, but can't. America's that person who always come around telling everybody else what's wrong, but ignoring what they do wrong. Conflict in DRC, how much of that? All of it, if you ask me, all.
So we're in concert. I was just an African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to.
Is Burkina Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes, yes. They were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like,
you know, they always throw the pets away when they're done with them. So yeah.
Said we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right.
No, you don't.
Speaking of that, because the reaction out of the statements that you made about Burkina Faso were several African leaders feeling you are speaking on sovereignty issues that America shouldn't be. And as a result, there are those who see the role of Africa as less of a partner in, the war against, shared threats, as you mentioned, and more of a protector of Western or American economic interests that allows access to Africa's vast mineral resources, and as more of a paternalistic relationship than one of respect amongst peers. What would you respond to that?
I respond that there's others on the globe that do that. There's others on the globe that do that. I'm not even bring it up. We should have even already know.
That's called deflection, Langley. She asked you specific about what you're doing. There are other people do that. There are others on the globe that do that. There are others. No, you doing it too, fucker. You doing it too. Just say, yeah, we doing it. Be a man. Be a man at some point, Damon. Not Damon, excuse me. Langley, excuse me, Damon. I saw your name pop up. That's why I said that. Excuse me. Langley, be a man at some point. Be a man. Stand on what you're doing. Like the young folks say, stand on business. So stand on business, Langley. Be a man. Don't be no punk. Don't throw the rock and hide your hand. Be a man, Langley. You soft.
Okay, but I'm going to even bring that up.
Okay.
We respect the sovereignty. We respect their decisions.
No,
we respect their decisions of who they choose as a security partner. And then we measure the common denominator that's keeping these countries across the Sahel from progressing forward. In 2050, the largest workforce on the globe is going to come out of the continent of Africa. The youth need hope. They need peace and stability so they can hit their potentials. That's a long-range goal of AFRICOM.
Well, how do you do that? By continuously taking their resources. How do you do that? By continuously keeping them in impoverished states and taking the things that they can use to enrich themselves. How do you do that? How do you help to spur them forward? How do you help to empower them? Why would you empower a group or a country that you want to continue to take from? Come on.
As we look to help these countries set those conditions for stability and security so prosperity can be presented to all the populations and the youth, Pan-Africanism is real and it's strong. And there's an opportunity to come up on the global stage, and this continent can do it. That's what we really envision.
So you're not concerned about China and Russia expanding their military and economic influence across the continent?
We are concerned about it, yes.
What about it concerns you?
Well, you know, their influence.
Competition.
Their influence may not be looked upon as being a positive influence.
They might, and they could inspire the Africans to do better. They could help the Africans do better, or they could be greater competition for your pockets. Two ways that can go. The Africans could be empowered by the Chinese, or the Chinese could become a greater opposition to the West. I'm just saying.
For who? For America or for Africa?
Well, for Africans, okay? And then, so Americans have that have that in mind.
Divine Garden, are you talking about the Rodney, how the West underdeveloped Africa? Yeah, how the West underdeveloped Africa. That's which one you're talking about. Rodney, I can't think of his whole name, but how the West underdeveloped Africa. That
for the African people and across all countries, be able to hit their maximum potential and independence and sovereignty and also freedoms by rules-based international order, being able to get on the global stage and take a leadership role and provide for the people in peace and stability. Some of those aims are not the same as the approach of those other countries on the global stage. So that's my perspective.
AKA, it ain't in our best interest for them to be dealing with other people who could be a threat to our interest in our money and gold, access to the black people gold, because we want to keep getting it.
A counter strategy?
Do we have a counter strategy as far as to
China, Russia, their presence, because you say it doesn't align with the shared values?
Well, what we watch is the continent of Africa does not need to be militarized, let's put it that way.
But it
does not need to be militarized. So we watch, as far as security agreements and what does it mean? Is it really for the stability to fight the threats of a African country, or is it for them and their ability to establish a global hegemon of basis?
See, Divine Garden, yes. Basically what you're getting at is, if we don't understand what has happened already in Africa, it's going to seem new to us, and we're going to keep repeating it. So we have to pay attention to what happened in the past, to the past leaders who were in the way of the Western interests, who was taken out and how they were taken out. Divine, see, I have the greatest audience in YouTube. I ain't gonna tell you, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all the greatest. Y'all the greatest.
That's what concerns us.
We'll have to leave it there for now.
I think it makes.
Before we let Dr. Amos Wilson take us, let's make sure we hit some of these comments and have a conversation real quick, right? Get the F out. Yes. If Africa is not respected, black people worldwide would never be respected. If Africa is not respected, if black Americans is not respected, we all need to be respected. We have to be respected. I have to try to monopolize Burkina Faso. Every country has a military
We can't let them militarize themselves. We can't let them militarize themselves.
AKA, if they get guns, they can fight back. If they militarize themselves, they can actually fight back and protect themselves from us graping them for all of their resources. Get the hell on, Langley. But let's let Dr. Amos Wilson help us understand the mindset of a sellout, of a yellow belly, of a traitor, a treasonous person. You know what? He ain't even a treasonous because he was born to be a bootlicker. He was born to be a sellout. But let's let Dr. Amos Wilson help us understand this better.
Makes us question whether segregation itself was really the cause of the feeling of inferiority in black children and in black people, as we thought. It'll make us question also what I think was a naive belief, that if we integrated with the whites, somehow they would stop seeing us as people of color or as black people. If we integrated with the whites, somehow the world would stop dividing itself up in terms of race. That somehow the world's division of itself in terms of African people and European people, black people and white people and so forth would somehow end. I think this study clearly implies then that this is not the case. I think it implies on a deeper level that inferiority in black people is a political and social necessity. I often, in speaking to my colleagues and others who are interested in psychology, and of course in the current book that I'm trying to develop now, get across the idea of how black psychology differs, particularly black psychology at this time, differs from Eurocentric psychology. And I think one of the major ways that it differs from Eurocentric psychology is that when we talk about abnormality in the black personality, when we talk about feelings of inferiority in black people, feelings of self-hatred and self-alienation, feelings of incompetence, feelings of powerlessness and so forth that we hear a lot about, we must recognize that these feelings are a political and economic necessity. And we should start from that premise if we are to understand the psychology of black people. I often put it this way. In order for us to be in the state that we are in today as people, we have to be out of our minds. We literally have to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be backwards. It is necessary for us to be maladjusted. It is necessary for us to be disunited. It is necessary for us to be self-hating. It is necessary for us to be filled with an inferiority complex. In a world where the European is essentially about 10% of the world's population, if that 10% is to continue to rule over the other 90%, it must keep that 90% out of its mind. It must keep that 90% in a state of deception. It must keep that 90% filled with a feeling of powerlessness and incompetence. If this 10% is to continue to consume more than 60% of the world's resources, if this 10% is to continue to rob African, Asian, and other nations of their material wealth, then it must keep those people in a state of maladjustment. And this implies then that no matter how much integration you may bring about, the feeling of inferiority must be a constant in the black personality. No matter how many people you run for president, no matter how many mayors you get elected, no matter how many people you get on the board of IBM and the others, the basic sense of inferiority The basic sense of dependency must remain a constant in the black mind. And I will indicate this, and I think this study, which occurred now some 40 years later, shows this to be the case. Dr. Clark shows surprise that after all of this time, this feeling is still there. I would not, and I don't think any student who's basically looked at the necessity of black people being out of their minds as being the foundation of European dominance would not be surprised. I think it was quite predictable. Remember, these children have this feeling of inferiority basically from the end of their second years. You can pick up this sense of inferiority as early as 3.5 years old. So it starts very early. And I'm still working through my mind the implications of that finding. We are talking about preschool children, not only children that are in school, but children who are having this feeling prior to school. This would, of course, indicate that, to a degree, that our environment is saturated with racism through TV, through the various media, through the pictures our walls, through the unconscious and conscious state, and influence the child's behavior and attitude starting in the womb itself. And I often start my developmental classes not with the prenatal period and how egg meets sperm, but with why do you have children in the first place? Because the reasons you have children will influence their development. It will influence them from the time they're in your womb until, of course, the day they die upon this earth. It would indicate then that to a degree and in some way the black community itself has been induced in helping to bring about a feeling of inferiority in its children. To a good extent, it is not so much the actions of racism that destroy us, the discrimination by white folk and Europeans, the kind of hatred that they express toward us as people that destroys us and gives us an inferiority complex. It is to a good degree how we as people react to these actions. Whether we believe the propaganda or not, whether we believe what the European actually has said. We cannot often control the behavior of other people, but we do have a greater control over how we react to that behavior. And to a good extent, the challenge of an Afrocentric education is to educate us in our tendencies to react. To a good extent, it would mean that the actions of racism apparently have induced some of us to accept racist propaganda and to really believe it, to internalize it. Once we internalize the propaganda, then we become social agents for the racists themselves. And to a good extent, then, the black family, once it internalizes the propaganda of Eurocentric racist, becomes a social agent for the racists and begins to produce the kinds of children that the racists want from the time of conception onward. It becomes instructive, you see, to look at a family not as something that just raises children, but a family to a good extent is the social agent of the society. It produces the kinds of children that the society says it needs and wants. The family looks out at the opportunity structure, at its own social position. It looks out at what it views as the future for its children, for its group, for its nation, and it inculcates those views into its children and rears its children in terms of those views, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously. And in that way, it begins to create the children for the society. In a heavily segregated society, for instance, if you're a black boy or girl, would have said some years ago that they wanted to be president of the United States, or that they were going to be president of the United States, how many of us, by being realistic, would have discouraged that view? You know, ain't no black man gonna be this, or no black woman gonna be that. Be real. And in the service of being real, by saying, well, I don't want him to be disappointed. I want to save him from racism and save him from the recognition one day that there are limitations to his aspirations. We quietly steer them toward a trade or a skill. Get this and get a job. So you, what's happening there? While it may have a realistic basis in a certain sort of way, you are also at the same time, though, creating the child's aspirations. You're also creating the child's motivations. You're creating the child's view of itself in line with the way the society is structured. A true Afrocentric family not only relates to its children in terms of reality, but it relates to its children in terms of idealism. It relates in the sense that there is a world that it as an African family and we as an African people want to bring about. While the black man may not be president of the United States, it does not mean that he cannot rule the world. The true Afrocentric family then not only raises its children in terms of the so-called social realities, because it recognizes that social realities are things that men create themselves. And therefore it raises children to create a reality suitable to the advancement and development of black people. But an unconscious black family, an unconscious people, a people who fallen victim to racism, a people who fallen victim to a sense of inferiority, then will produce the kind of inferior children that the white society needs to continue its dominance in the world. And in this way, then, the black family and the black community and black leadership becomes allied with the dominant group and with the Eurocentric group. It is this kind of thing that we must come to become conscious of and to defeat consciously.
Said it better than I can anything I could say. The inferiority, the internalized inferiority, the internalized self-hatred, the idea of white ice being colder, the idea that we must assimilate within the dominant culture for survival, because theirs is better than ours, because we've learned through our insanity, we've internalized the idea that we're not good enough, that everything white is better than what we have. So we must partner and become a part of the white system. You know, the idea, if you can't beat them, join them. So General Langley, if I can't beat the white people, I'm gonna join the white people. But I guarantee you, like Dr. Wilson was saying, Langley comes from a stock of black folk who have already internalized that inferiority complex. They've already been insane, and they produced him, somebody who came out the womb ready to be a sellout. Generations of sellouts are being produced. Mindsets are being passed on, and they are consciously and unconsciously, but more consciously, helping to further the system of white supremacy, helping to uphold the system of white supremacy, even if it means the destruction of other black people. Even if it means the destruction of the people who look like you, your own people. Because the idea of individual survival means more than group survival. The idea of more of individual success means more than group success. So somebody like General Langley is looking out more for himself and his pockets than his people, because he was a born sellout. So today we learned a couple things. We don't owe the Hispanic community anything. We don't owe the Latino community anything. We don't owe them anything. We don't owe them solidarity. We don't owe them allegiance, nothing. Help, nothing. We don't owe them nothing. And we also found out the mindset behind a sellout. Learning more of why a sellout is a sellout. You were born a sellout. You were born to take that path. So black people, we got to work. We got to work smarter. We got to work better. We have to work together. We have to make sure that we're doing what we're doing to protect ourselves, raise ourselves, empower ourselves, uplift ourselves, love ourselves, build better black families, help to pick each other up, get over the hard times, get through the hard times together. We can do it better together. Once we start loving ourselves better, once we start helping ourselves better, what other people do can affect us less because we'll be in a better position. We'll be in a more powerful position for ourselves to help ourselves. And maybe on a global scale, we'll be able to help our fellow black and African people. Man, I love all of y'all. I only got 38 likes on this video, and I don't like that. I'm looking at my analytics. My analytics say I only got 38 likes. I need y'all to hit that like button. I need all y'all in here to hit that like button before we close this out. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Boule #1 sellouts. The Boule are born to be sellouts. The Boule are born to be sellouts. Hey man, it's on the Shoulders of Giants. This is the greatest audience in the history of YouTube. I love you all. Giving big shout outs to Damon Reeves. Ricardo, you already know. Big shout out to you. Tiffany, you already know what it is. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yes. Yes. I had a quick story. It was a time in my life where I had a decision to make whether I could sell drugs or go to college. I chose college because the drug game just it wasn't it. Even though it was glorified and glamorized, it wasn't it. It wasn't it. So shout out to Mr. Ricardo Flo. Shout out to Damon Reeves. Shout out to Tiffany B. Shout out to Divine Garden. Shout out to Jason Reels Network. Shout out to Ashley Richardson. I appreciate you. Yes, I have to cover what's going on with our dear brother Ibrahim Traore. I have to. Shout out to who else? Who else was up in here? El Gramelion, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for chiming in and add to this great conversation. Sweet J, thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Who else? I'm here. Thank you for being here with me. I'm here too. Thank you. Suzette Weatherall, I appreciate you. Who else was up in here with us today? Red Sanford, you a real one. I appreciate you. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Ron Mack, I appreciate you. I might mess your name up at Anzana Bay. I appreciate you, Anzana Bay. Fox, I appreciate you. Kai, you a real one. Kenneth Wanamaker, I appreciate you. Complex Blackness. Marie Boca, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Make sure y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. And tomorrow, tomorrow I'm gonna hit y'all with a clip. So make sure y'all check out the clip. Jermaine Bayete, I attended many of Dr. Wilson's lectures. Amos is done. Yes, I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that, and I received that. Dr. Wilson is the real one. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Make sure hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Like I said, tomorrow will be a clip. We come back Monday with our book reading. Tuesday, it's a lecture. Another Dr. Amos Wilson lecture, part 4 of how the education system is failing our black children. So make sure y'all check that out. Wednesday, of course, it's historical profile. Thursday is a clip. Friday is a Friday breakdown. Then we be back live next Saturday, doing what we do, how we do, when we do what we do. All right. I love you all. Thank you all. Hit that like button on the way out. And Tiffany put up her YouTube channel. Y'all make sure before we go, Tiffany's been working hard on her YouTube channel, been helping her get more views and everything on the channel, grow the channel. So y'all make sure y'all check out the channel. Let me find it real quick. Let me find the YouTube handle, Sacred Seat TV. Make sure y'all go subscribe to the Sacred Seat TV YouTube channel. Check it out. Support. And that's how we do it over here. If you got something going on, if you're in my comment section, you got something going on in your life, drop it in the comments so we can support, so we can promote and support. Y'all go check out Sacred Seat TV, and we do how we do. I love you all, and I'll catch y'all on the other side. Peace.